Hello and welcome. I am Triple Helix, and this is Antichamber, a sort of Portal-esque type game. If you've played Portal, this will seem a little bit familiar to you. Now, I've already completed this game, so I can't do a first impressions on it. I'm not going to do a let's play of it because it's a bit too spoilerish, so I'll just play through the first beginning level so that way you can get a feel for the game and give you my full opinions on it. Now, this game is absolutely amazing. It is a work of art. It is beautiful. You can just look, everything is gorgeous. And the sense of puzzle that it gives you are really nice. The puzzles are genuinely challenging. So just jump here because it tells me to. I'm gonna die. Nope, I'm fine. And then you find these little things on the wall that you can click that give you like a little meaning, like a little hint to solving a puzzle, or just, you know, valuable life lesson. Why not? Now, as you can see, the art style in this game is absolutely beautiful. It's minimalistic, and it makes you focus, and it helps focus on where you need to go for a puzzle. So let's just follow this path. And as you can see, here's our first little puzzle-ish thing here. There's a blue path, and then there's a red path. We can go up one, or we can go down. So I guess we'll go up the blue one. Now, one of the nice things in this game is just its sense of discovery that comes from, you know, going around and just exploring and trying to find your way through things. The puzzles in it, as I said, are genuinely difficult, and it does a nice job of melding, or better yet, throwing two types of puzzles at you. It throws the completely, you know, surrealistic, like this one, where it's like, well, there's no way to do this. If I go up, I just come back. If I go down, I just come back. And mixing it with the logical, and with the mix of it, your brain just doesn't know what to do, and in the end, you just look like a complete idiot trying to solve them. And if you just go backwards, which, you know, not expected, because the last time you were here, it was something else, and haha, when you return to where you've been, things aren't always as remembered. And again, the art style of this game. Now, later on, the game gets a little bit more, traditional, where you get, like, these four, like, little block gun things that let you shoot blocks and collect blocks, but even the puzzles then are genuinely difficult. And as you can see, seems like we're stuck here, right? Well, if you just hit escape, like it says, you go back to this little hub world thing, where it's basically the pause menu, where you have all of the different signs you've clicked, all of the different things you've read, and, you know, your options, and the map, which you can go to any room you want to. So this is a nice feature for, you know, exploration purposes, so that way you can you know, go all the way to one side of the map, because this map is huge. There's a lot of puzzles in this game, and it's a genuinely long game too. It took me about 9, I'd say, hours to complete this, so it is a long game, and it is a genuine puzzle game. It's fairly challenging, but this map will get pretty big, so it's nice to be able to just go back to a puzzle. Now, this thing here is basically telling you where you last teleported to, and if I teleport here, as you can see, that changes, and it... Oh, never mind, it's still still some tutorialization. So now, then there's this cool thing, where, you know, back here, it seems like there's no chance if you're gonna survive this. And I can't actually remember all of these puzzles, because I put this game down for quite a while. But if you just walk forward, you have an invisible staircase. Just walk right across. But yes, as I was saying, that hub world, the little thing that tells you where you just were, is sometimes confusing, because there's one thing that tells you where you last teleported to, and then there's one that sort of tells you where you last teleported out of to go back to the hub world. Now, whoops, forgot this was here. But it's sort of confusing, and it can be a bit annoying at times when you, like, leave the game for a few hours, because it's very Metroidvania-ish, and by that, of course, I mean invisible staircase. I mean that you'll get things later on that let you come back and redo something, or at least let you complete something more effectively. Now, I don't know what's up with... Oh. You know, I actually never realized what these did, but apparently when you move, they tend to get a little bit more... Yeah, when you move, they tend to get more like that. and if you can just walk. Also, hold shift to walk, which is, you know, a bit odd considering Most of the time it's shift to run. And this game is available on Steam right now for the low price of $15, which I highly recommend spending. This is it's a work of art. It's a genuinely hard puzzle game, and it's just a lot of fun. Ah, you can see. Teleported. Also, here's the end. It's right here. Can't get to it, but it's here. See? The end. Constantly you'll be playing through this game, and you'll just, you know, the end will constantly be in sight, but you can never quite get to it. I'm not sure how far I'll play into this, but you might see a bit of that. Now, I don't remember how to get around this wall here. I think you can just jump. Whoop. Nope, that wasn't it. Ah, and now we're back here again. So, for a game that encourages exploration, the ability to go back to the hub world and then immediately just head back to the puzzle that you last died on, or that you last messed up. You can just go right back here, and now you're back. So it doesn't punish exploration. You can try puzzles and mess them up terribly and just head right back. Oh, yeah, that was how you do that. I think that's a duck. Alright. So there's a number of paths we can take here. There's this way, which, with the clock ticking life away, just life ticking down. And then this amazing art here, this four-dimensional art. And this is what I really love the game for, is that it's, you know, just sense of surrealism, which I feel one complaint I have about this game is that later on, that sense of surrealism is sort of lost. That it goes back into the traditional and sort of, you know, normal, the logical, which is a bit upsetting, because one of the things that I really love about this game is its just sense of surrealism. Let's head over here. I think we're back at the beginning. I don't remember how to solve this puzzle. I think it's just yeah, I got these. But all in all, this game is remarkable, and it's a huge accomplishment in terms of puzzles. Now, it doesn't have the spirit or, you know, humor or story or narrative or interesting characters of Portal, but one thing that I can say that this does have that Portal doesn't have is that Portal, when you're introduced to mechanics, they will work the same every time without fail. So when you get your portal gun, when you get, you know, your full portal gun, that's it. There's no more new mechanics. It's basically like, hey, you can shoot a blue portal and then you can shoot an orange portal. Also, there's the arrows that appear around the world sometimes to point you in the right direction. This is just, yeah. So, but see here, when you look this way, there's, you know, absolutely nothing. When you look this way, you can see that there's a sort of green thing, and then when you go back, it's normal. But if you just stare at it, the world changes. So that's what I really love about this game, and I feel that it's a bit lost later on. Although, the new mechanics that it does introduce, which it does all the time, are very interesting and keep the game fresh. And it's also, it never really stops. The challenge from the puzzles never really stops. There's always an interesting solution to them all, and sometimes you end up overthinking them because your brain is so, it's just given up. It thinks like, well, there's got to be some ridiculous solution here. And as you can see, we've wandered right back to where we started. Although, because it's so dark here, you weren't paying attention, and there's an arrow here telling you where to go. The first section of the game I really enjoy, and I'm not going to spoil too much of it. I'll probably just get that, and then I'll call it quits on this. But I just want to express my... Ah, look, the exit. Nope. Sometimes it's not always about getting to the end. These I really love. These are nice little things. They tie to the puzzles, and they tie to life in general, and I really enjoy them. But the sense of surrealism in this game is remarkable. And Portal, I loved the... One problem that I have with Portal is that it was really... Most of the time I felt like it was too easy. That the only time I got stuck on puzzles when I was overthinking them like crazy. Or when I... and we're in. Or when I, you know, just didn't happen to notice something. Now, this new gun thing here, lets us... There are 4 of these in the game, and they all do something different with the blocks that you can pick up, and it basically is just an upgrade to each of them. Now this one lets you pick up a block and place a block, so that way that door is stuck. Now this seems a little insurmountable. Thank you, brain. Seems a little insurmountable. I can't pronounce that word for some reason. You know, you have to be standing on this to open that, and you can't get a block in there on time. Now, I'm going to be honest, I spent a lot of time on this before I thought, well, what if I just do this? It works. And that's the sense of logicality that this game just throws at you. It's like some solution that's highly illogical and then a solution that's highly logical, and it's just that mix makes your brain just give up, and I love it. I never know. It's like, is this a solution that just requires something really simple, or is this a solution that just requires, you know, something really ridiculous where I have to, you know, spin around and then look up and down and then the world changes, and it's amazing and I love it. But it's never to the point of frustrating. It's never frustrating, the surreal solutions or the logical solutions. They always make some sense. They are always, you know, there. So, like with the walking back and forth one, the up and down the stairs, the red and blue, you know, eventually it's like, alright, I've gone up, I've gone down, neither of those work, what do I do? So, then you might think, alright, I might as well just head back and go try this again, and then the world changes. So it's never really like, it's never frustrating, you will always figure it out. Although, later on, this game gets a bit logical and a bit just like, hey, just look at what your different guns can do, and it basically is just pointing you in the direction of the end, which this game has a remarkable ending. It's a very interesting ending. I like it a lot. And as you move on, there's also a multitude of paths in this game. It's not just, you know, this one path. There's a lot of paths that you can take. Huh. Oh, right, I remember this. I need those. You know what, I'll just exit this and not do that one because this is getting a bit too far into the game. I'll just go back. But a lot of these puzzles, there's a very straightforward path. Like, you don't need to go that far. You can just get the red gun and then you can win, which doesn't take that much time. You could probably speedrun this game in 3 hours, but that's, you know, suggesting that you know what you're doing, which is pretty uncommon, because this game is constantly throwing stuff at you. Also, you have a timer here. Yeah, you'll figure out what that does when it ends. I'm not going to be filming that long, so if you want to figure it out, just go buy this game on Steam. Put a link to it in the description. But there's a lot of different paths that you can take, all of which, you know, lead to somewhere else. And a lot of times this game just leads you right into a dead end. Now, this is a game that I find it very, very hard to put down for a period of time and then come back to, because you will be very, very lost. Sometimes you'll be, you know, you'll question, alright, what puzzle was I last on? Was I, you know, doing this one right here where I was, you know, climbing these stairs? Especially when the map gets really expansive and big, and when you have to go back to certain areas where it's really confusing and you just have no idea what you're doing. That can be a bit annoying, because then you're spending, you know, a good 10-15 minutes trying to figure out where was I, what was I about to solve, what was I trying to do. Although this game does have a decent, you know, these things. This is basically saying you just teleported here, and this is saying you were just in this room before you left, which is nice enough, but I think that this could have been, you know, better, so that you can place your own markers. So, like, you know, place your own waypoints, like, hey, I haven't finished this yet, this area is not complete. Or if it, because I don't think it would make much sense to have this game with a, you've completed this area, you don't need to come back here ever. But I do think that it would be nice if it had a hey, you know, you can place your own markers, like, I have not finished this yet, or there's something that I still may not have seen, which would make it a little bit easier to remember, okay, I have to go back here and explore, especially when the map gets expansive, because more often than not, you'll find yourself getting an upgrade to your little block gun thing, and having no idea what to do with it. You'll just walk around without any idea, because it will often lead you back into this room right here, where, you know, there's not that much to do. Except unless you have the red gun, at which point you can win the game. But that's a minor problem. It's not that bad. It's not something that bothers me that much. It's just, it would make the game a little bit easier. Although, you know, I don't think that's necessary. And this game is definitely not an easy puzzle game. In terms of... If I was comparing this to Portal, I would say that this is definitely more difficult than Portal, just because it has a number of, you know, interesting solutions that require a lot of thought. And it's also, if I could find a room... I'm not sure there are any right now. But there are rooms in the game where you will go to them, and the solution is impossible. It's just like you cannot pass it because the game says so. That you're just not allowed to pass them. Whoops. Where, although it does do a nice job of showing you what you can and cannot do by the color of the blocks will match the color of your gun. So, you know, another gun, the next gun you'll get is a green gun, which does other stuff, but I'm not going to say, you'll figure that out for yourself. But the other, so then you can do anything with green blocks. But if you were to find, you know, a yellow block or something, you would know, okay, this is for later. I can't do anything with it right now. Which is definitely a lot of help, because it makes the game... It makes it so that you're not running around or trying to solve a puzzle that's impossible to solve for a long period of time, which is a nice feature I think they added. And I don't think it makes it too easy either, because it does make... You still do have to figure out the solution to the puzzle. Or you still do have to figure out the solution to a puzzle. You just don't have to, you know, worry about... Whoops. Just don't have to worry about doing the wrong thing. And that's the solution to that one. Simple enough. I want that block back, thank you. As you continue to move on, you can see things like this where, you know, it's pretty impassable. I don't have 3 blocks. Although I think I may have messed this puzzle up pretty badly. Let's see here. Yeah, I might have messed this up a little bit. Nope, never mind. It's fine. But that's common in this game, where you'll go to somewhere and just be like, I can't do anything. And at that point, you just have to take a break, turn around, and, you know, walk back to where you were and try something else. And as you continue to move on, you'll find puzzles like this. This is one of my favorite puzzles in the early game. And it's basically like, you know, look up, and because you see this little thing on the roof, and it's just like, hey, don't look down. And then, of course, instinctively, you're gonna look down, and then there's this giant eyeball, and the floor begins to disappear. And you fall very, 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 very far. Very far. Alright, come on, stop falling down. There we go. And, you know, you've messed up. Which is, of course, interesting. And then you'll be working on this for a while, and you'll just be like, alright, don't look down, just listen to what it says. And you'll just walk forward, and boom, the world changes. It's puzzles like that that I really love, that make this game what it is. And that makes, and I really enjoy it. I wish it had stayed with that a little more than it did, because later on it kind of abandons its ways and goes for a bit more, you know, realistic sense. Or a bit more logical solutions like these, where, you know, you just place blocks, whoops, just place some blocks and then climb up the stairs, which, you know, it's not like it's bad, it's just, it's not as good as I feel like it could be. But, whoops. Huh. So here's a good example of multiple paths. This path has, you know, red blocks, so... Red blocks, I can't interact with them right now, because I don't have a red gun. Or I can interact with them, but if you were to take them, they would be blue, and it's saying this puzzle is not solvable unless you have a red block. Unless you have, you know, the ability to manipulate red blocks. This one has yellow, and I don't have yellow. I don't have a yellow gun, so I can't manipulate the yellow blocks yet either. And then I'm back here again. And it'll constantly be telling you where to go and pushing you in the right direction, which is nice. Or not constantly, but early game it will push you in the right direction, so that way, you know, you don't get too lost. But later on, it definitely begins to get more, it begins to get a little bit more logical. And it also begins to get a little more difficult, because there's a number of paths you can take, and there's no way to, you know which one you should take, which can be a bit of a pain. Here's an example of, like I said, the yellow blocks, but I can't deal with them fast enough. They just keep reappearing, which is annoying. So clearly, I can't do anything here. Here's a solution. Here's something. Now, I can't put this in here, because if you can't notice, if you can't tell, there's a little piece of glass right here blocking from those. And I can't do anything with that, and that's pretty much the same thing. Now here, they're the blue blocks, so that means I can probably solve this puzzle. Whoops, I think I have to open this one. Yeah. Then just, whoop. These can block off the lasers. Excuse me, these can block off the lasers, but you have to cover both of them. I don't think I'm going to show off too much more of this game, just because I feel like I'm going to be spoiling a huge portion of it by doing that, because this game needs to be played. This, when you walk through it, it takes out all the blocks in your gun, and the blocks in your gun are represented by the little spinning blocks in the center of your gun, as you can see. And as soon as you walk through, boom, they're gone. They're not like the portal things where if you have blocks out here, like if you put blocks out there, as you can see, they don't disappear, they stay there until you go back to the hub world, at which point everything returns to normal. And here's another puzzle that requires, you know, a bit of thought. There's these green blocks here, but they'll turn blue as soon as I put them into my thing. Now this one requires, if there were 8 blocks here, and there are 6 holes here and 6 holes here to open this door, and, you know, do the math, 6 and 6 is 12. I can't do that with this number of blocks, but there are 8 here. This puzzle I'll have to come back and solve later, when I have an upgrade to my block gun. The Metroidvania-ish thing in this game is very apparent very quickly too. And it's a nice little thing they have where it definitely helps in terms of, you know, figuring out puzzles to color code the blocks, so that way you're not going to spend like 30 minutes trying to figure out how to solve a puzzle that's unsolvable with your current equipment. And again, as I said, the surreal solutions in this game, they're never frustrating. It's never to the point where I felt frustrated. I mean, some of the guns mechanics don't work as you would like them to, which can be a bit annoying, especially considering that you know the solution of the puzzle. But can't solve this because there's all yellow blocks, and I can't get these out. And there's 8 holes here, and I can't get any more blocks because this destroys them. But it is a bit annoying that that's that it does that. It's a bit of a pain that no matter, it can be a bit of a pain with some of the blocks mechanics that they just don't work as you'd expect them to, or they don't work as you'd expect them to at that moment. Sometimes I mean, they're generally pretty predictable. And by that I mean, like, they work the way they're supposed to 99% of the time. But there are times where they don't work. And there's also some mechanics of guns. It's not just like, you know, the solution that it tells you, or it doesn't just have the effect that it tells you. It doesn't just do what it tells you. Sometimes they'll have interesting little effects. And you don't really know those, and you'll be stuck for a long time. You'll have no idea what to do until you actually experiment with the gun and then figure it out, which is really cool. This game definitely has a sense of, you know, I've done it. Or a eureka sense, like, wow, this puzzle's impossible, there's no way to solve it, and then you just, you know, mess around with your gun a little bit, and you're like, wait a second, this works? This is easy now. Now this is easy to solve. Now I know what to do. Which is really nice considering, you know, the idea of this game. Now it's telling me to go down here. I'm going to guess it wants me to put a block there. Nope, too late. Earlier. I never really put blocks on these. I've always timed my jump on them, or just to get off on time, but I guess that's pretty difficult trying to do this because I'm terrible at jumping. Put a block, and we're in. Yeah, I'm not going to show off too much more of this game. I think I'll, you know, show off maybe a few more puzzles, or, you know what, I'm just going to call it quits here, because this is a puzzle that you should solve for yourself. This is definitely a challenging puzzle that requires quite a bit of thought, so I'm just going to leave it here. Head back to the hub world and leave you with this. If you want to buy the game, I highly recommend it. It's an incredible puzzler. It's a lot of fun. It's very surreal. It's a very beautiful game. It's artistic. It's amazing. It's a really good game. If I were to rate it from, you know, 1 to 10, I would give it an 8.5, just because of the issues I mentioned with it earlier. Because 2 things that are really annoying about this is that there's no real narrative to it. There's no real story-driven narrative. There's really you have no idea who you are. You have no idea why you're here. You're just doing these things because why not? And it's not a problem at all. It's just, it could be so much more if this had a Portal-ish narrative. Although the ending of this game is absolutely incredible, and I love it. There's also the issues that I've mentioned about this map thing right here, which aren't too big, but they're just a bit annoying. And then there's, my problem with it is that it gets a bit too logical near the end, where it requires, you know, it's not as surreal. It's not as interesting as it was at the beginning. Like, the beginning is definitely my favorite part. And do not worry, I blitzed through the early levels. There are a lot more to discover. There's a lot more that I did not do that you can play through to solve for yourself. I did not do most of the, you know, fun early levels. I did some of them just to get to the gun, so that way I could show you that. So, if you enjoyed the video, like it. And as I said in my video of 10 million, 50 likes, super hexagon. So, like the video if you want to see me suffer a lot. And if you want to see more stuff like this, subscribe. And if you want to buy this game, do it. Now. Go buy it. Click the link that's in the description probably, unless I forgot. I sure hope I didn't. Anyways, this is Triple Helix, signing off.